I have a very exciting generative AI to show you guys today, because Runway have recently come out with their latest video generation model, and it blows models like Pico Labs right out of the water. I'll be showing you text to video, image to video, the motion brush tool, and video to video. First off, we'll go to runwayml.com, or just Google Runway ML because I haven't bothered to memorize the URL yet when I recorded this. I already created myself an account, so you won't see it here. But you can automatically create it with a Google or Apple account, or you can create it manually with an email address. And here we'll have the dashboard where you can view everything Runway has to offer. You'll have the main features here down the left hand side, and above it you'll have your personal library of assets you can use for quick access. Runway Watch lets you take a look at some of the content other people have made with these tools. You can submit them here. If we go back to the Home tab, we can take a more in-depth look at some of the tools on offer. I don't know if I'll have time to go over absolutely all of them, but we'll see how we get on. You'll find some inspiration at the bottom here. If you hover over these squares, it previews the animation and shows you the prompt. Here are some tutorials that I will also let you watch for yourself, just because I'm paranoid about getting into trouble over showing them. Okay, so let's get into Runway's generative video feature, which comes in a couple different flavours. If you switch to using Gen 2 up here, you can generate video without needing to input an image. So I've chosen pink fluffy ball-shaped elephants are dancing around a giant carrot on a grassy field on a sunny day. Gen 2 limits videos to 4 seconds, but it does give you 3 previews, which are still frames that you can choose from. Unfortunately, it didn't work when I tried it, so I was just hoping for the best really. When you press generate, it'll go into the queue. It takes a little while, but you can also enable desktop notifications to remind you when it's done. It does take a while. This is being sped up to 10 times the normal speed. And it's done. It's not 100% what I had in mind, as they're not dancing, but what we have is pretty cute. I like the candy floss elephants, and there are carrots in the background. You can save the output by clicking here above the video. Okay, so now I'm going to switch it up and show you how the Gen 3 models work with both image and text. You can browse your computer, or you can browse the assets you have saved. It'll then take about a second to load it into the prompt. I'm going with this awfully familiar version of Thomas the Tank Engine. I wanted to see what it would do with something I photoshopped. Because you can be quite detailed with the prompt, I decided to cheat a little bit. I used the Copilot button in Microsoft Edge and told it to reference the page I was looking at, and then create a prompt for a train arriving at the station. Skipping ahead to the result, I can copy and paste this into the prompt. Now we can click generate. We know the deal here, we're just going to sit back and wait for it to complete. Something I neglected to mention was that I chose to have my image be the last frame, as you can see over the prompt there, so that'll be why the train in the video preview has gone back a little bit. My face isn't exactly the same in the beginning here. It looks like what happens when AI doesn't quite know what to do with human faces, but it starts to form as the train moves closer and the lighting starts to take shape too. I'm going to move back to Gen 2 because I want to show you the motion brush, which seems to only be accessible through this model. We select it from the top left hand corner and then move down to the panel to the left and select motion brush. And here we'll see some controls. In the top right we have our different brushes which we'll use to select objects. As far as I'm aware, you can select the sky with brush 1, the trees with brush 2, and so on. Underneath the brushes we have the directional sliders which are supposed to dictate the level of motion the selected object will go. Wind blowing to the right, clouds floating to the left. From what I've seen, you can only mark each object once, So the big red mark you see on the top left represents the entire sky. This is the first result of me playing around with this thing. It's not very good. I don't know if it's just because I was doing it wrong or because it's from an older model. So let's try something completely different. As you can see, I have a photo that I've cropped of the replica of a Spitfire, and I want to make it take off even though it's not real. And I'll see if I can achieve that using the same method as before. I'll ask Copilot to write me a usable prompt using Runway's guidelines, and then use the motion brush to dictate where I want everything to move towards. Prompts are a bit like tweets though, as you do have a finite number of characters. I didn't realise it automatically trimmed my prompt when I filmed this. You'll probably be able to ask Copilot to shorten it though. I have Auto Detect Area enabled, which is why it highlighted the entire sky. In a lot of other tutorial videos, you'll find it looks more like a traditional brush, but this is what the brush is doing anyway. So I'm clicking on the sky with one brush, the bushes with the other. I then use a third brush for the Spitfire itself. After I've done with that, I'm just selecting all the different brushes and telling it what direction I want everything to go in. I'll click Generate, it'll be added to the queue, and we'll see if everything goes to plan. Looking at the overall video, it's not like there isn't any motion, it's just the motion is from the camera angle so the Spitfire isn't visibly taking off. Let's try another example, and I'll see if I can replicate what's in the preview here. But first of all, I'll generate 4 gnomes of the CGI variety. It'll be easier if I do it from Runway itself, so I can save it to my assets folder later. So I'm going to type in 5 CGI gnomes standing in a row. I've literally only just realised the inconsistency watching this back, because I wanted it to be similar to the cat preview we looked at before. We've selected 4 above, but that's how many images we want to generate, not how many gnomes. We'll have it be a landscape and all that. I don't care that it's 720p, because if we really want, we can upscale it later. And that's it. Oh yeah, you can also select the style, so I selected 3D render. I'll skip the loading process because there's nothing to see here. What we can see now is that the AI doesn't know how to count to 5, which is fine because the important thing is that they're all stood in a row with a similar height. I'll go with the image on the top right and look for the button to save it in a folder. When you hover over the image, you'll find the ability to download the image, bookmark it with a heart icon, or download it to your computer. What we're going to do, however, is we'll use it in another app, that being Generative Video. We're back here again with the image preloaded, and I'm just going to prompt 4 gnomes turning their head to the left and right. For the motion brush, I previously disabled Auto Detect Area because I wanted to copy the preview we looked at before. I'll paint the first and third gnome with one brush, and I'll paint the second and fourth with the second brush. From other examples I've seen around the wide world of web, you don't have to move the slider as much as I did in the last example. 4 and -4 on the x-axis should do it. The final result is alright. It's not perfect, but does what I was trying to do at the time. I was hoping they would turn their heads back, but I think that might have been expecting too much. If you do want to achieve that effect, you could just use any video editor to duplicate the segment and then reverse the speed of the latter. Also worth pointing out that the shoe on the far left morphs for some odd reason. For the next feature we'll be taking a look at, I'm going to head over to Pixels and find a video I think would look good converting using video to video. For some reason, I have it in my head that someone doing karate would be a good example video to use, so I'll find a good horizontal video and download that, like this cute little video here. Back in Runway, unfortunately this model of video to video is only available with a paid subscription which comes in at $15 a month, discounted to $12 a month if you're ready to commit to a year. There is an older version of video to video, but from my testing, it doesn't make much of a difference to the video itself. If you do decide to upgrade to a paid subscription, you'll get all these other benefits which I'll zoom in on. I suggest pausing the video to take a look at what takes your fancy. So I've done that, and we click Try Video to Video under the animated banner, even though it just takes us to the same page as Image to Video. we can just ignore this thing that pops up. It just lists out the previous stuff we've worked on. It won't recognise our video input until we change the model at the top from Gen 3 Alpha Turbo to Gen 3 Alpha. And now we can load in our Karate Kid. But now we can go to Custom on the left hand side and choose a cool effect to apply. As with images, we can just use plain text, but as an example, I think it's easier to show you what's on offer. Let's try glass first of all. We can click Apply to the right, and then click on the text between the curly braces above to put in a brief description of our video. Girl doing karate, and then click Generate. From a first glance, it might look more like a wireframe than someone made of glass, but if you look closely, you can imagine this is what a little girl made out of glass would look like. I don't know why the entire room isn't made of glass, but maybe the model just marks out humans. If you're going to try another preset, remember to clear the prompt before you do. Now let's try claymation. We'll click Apply, little girl doing karate, click Generate. It'll appear below the previous generation, and then later we can download them also. This one is pretty cool. Again, it's not the most obvious claymation, but it does work, and it's changed the surroundings. I mean, I guess looking at it now, the above one has changed technically. The lighting from the window is new anyway. Now let's try Puppet. I have a feeling this is going to look a bit cursed, but I'm interested. This one's cool. In editing, I'll use the downloaded videos as B-roll so you can get a better look, and that face is spot on. The lighting is pretty cool here too. Okay, one more, and this will be dramatic. Nothing incredibly different is going on here, but the lighting change is extraordinary. So now that you've seen all that, this is where I'll have to leave it for now. There are a couple features I haven't quite gone over yet, and those are Erase and Replace and In Painting, which I'll have to go into in another video. As I mentioned in the intro, this is something Pika Labs offers as well, but from what I've seen, the Gen 2 and Gen 3 models from Runway seem to be the strongest I've seen in terms of generative video. If you did enjoy what I had to show off today, a like and subscribe would be very much appreciated, and I do hope you enjoy the rest of your week or weekend depending on when you're watching this, and bye bye.